Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CM Trading. Today is April 1st, 2019, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the major economic events of the day, 2:30 South African time out of the United States, core retail sales numbers coming out, and that's followed with a 4 o'clock South African time number out of the United States as well, ISM manufacturing PMI number coming out. Now these two numbers could be really important for the Dow Jones, especially since we rallied to the upper range of it. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. And then at the end of the day, at 8:55 South African time, Bank of Canada Governor Polos will be speaking out of Canada, and that's really an important event as well. So just keep in mind these events coming out later today. Now, looking at the markets, euro, British pound, and Canadian dollar all lower versus the US dollar, but they look like they're perking up this morning. And that's really because there's a rotation in the markets. The JSE rallies from the bottom of the range, which we saw last week. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. And Dow Jones gaps up this morning above 26,000. Now that's a major area to gap up. We do have resistance at 26,170. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. Now looking at the commodity, as the markets go up, the gold breaks lower, broke support last week off of that trend line. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. We spoke about it last Thursday. And oil also trading higher, above $60 a barrel, close to $61 a barrel. Now, lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is above 4,000. Now, I'd like to see this rally actually extend itself because that'll mean that it is breaking resistance and possibly breaking up to 4,500, maybe even 5,000. That's really an important level. Now, let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're taking a look here at the Euro USD at a 4-hour chart. And as you can see, we're trading at the lows, okay, 112.30-ish level. And that's really testing the lows. So, if we do break this area later this week, we could see a further decline in the euro versus the dollar. Now, to take a look at that, just to give you a perspective, this is really where we've been trading for quite some time between these two ranges, okay, going back all the way to October 2018. So we've been in this quite range, okay, between this 115 and 112-ish level, which is relatively a tight range to be in, okay, historically speaking for the Euro USD. Now we're really flirting with this bottom range, but we really got to break this to 112-ish area to really bona fide it as a sell-off. Now, once that happens, we could see it further correct itself on the downside. Now, this is all going on the back of the fact that there's some recessionary fears coming out of Germany, which is the strongest country in the European Union in terms of its output and in terms of its economic status. So that really is disconcerting. Now looking at the GBP USD, we also sold off there, but we're perking up this morning. 130 is really an important area for this. This is really a support level, this area right here. So the fact that we bounced off of it is a little bit hopeful. Okay. However, if we do break this 130, the next real level is 127-ish level. Right about right here is the next level. Okay. So, if this does continue, then we'll be range bound trading between 130 and 130, 180-ish level. Okay. I don't believe that we'll be around there, but if you see, we broke that moving averages, the 30-day and the 14-day, quite sharply, okay? And this is all going on the fact of the sell-off last week of gold, and everything looks really weak versus the US dollar. Now, jumping into the Aussie USD, we had a little bit of let's jump into a 4-hour chart so we could see that we had a little bit of a gap up this morning, 71.79. So this may actually correct itself later today. Now, I don't think that we're going back to the 71.90 just yet, but I do believe that this may carry the dollar weaker versus the other currencies as the Dow Jones gets stronger. Now, jumping into the Canadian dollar, we had a massive correction last week, 134 down to 133. That's the Canadian dollar getting stronger, and that's really on the back of the fact that oil has been very strong. Okay, the price of oil has gone up, and as that happens, that reflects on the Canadian economy because oil is a major component of the Canadian economy. However, there's still some stalemate in the new NAFTA agreement in Canada, a little bit of a political unrest there. So we may see continued range bound trading, if you will. Okay, we're right there speaking technically at a previous resistance, subsequent support. So if this does bounce, this would be the place to bounce. If it corrects itself further down, our next support level is 132.54, and that's about 100 pips lower. Okay, so keep that in mind as this continues to trade later today. Let's see if we get any specific news coming out of Governor Polos, who will be speaking later this evening. Now, jumping into the commodities. Now, this was the one we're looking at a daily chart. Let's get a 4-hour chart for the gold. All right, so we spoke about this last week. Okay, last Thursday I mentioned this was your trend line, and if we did breach it with some momentum, with some volume, we would see a correctional move down to the 300 level. Okay, the 1300 level, but we saw more than that. We broke even further to 1290-ish level, and then we bounced last week. In this morning, we look like we're testing those lows right here, and we may even sell off further down. Now, if this does break this 1285-ish level, your next real support level, let's take a look at it on a daily chart, is really the next support level is 1270-ish level. Okay, so this does have room to correct itself if it does continue this, sell-off. All right, it may not, it may bounce off of this because the markets are coming up with NFP later this Friday. It looks like there's some stability in the United States. However, the stocks are not bouncing. Okay, we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But keep an eye on this because this is really an important and potentially a very lucrative trade, as this may correct itself and bounce. Okay, with this massive sell-off. Okay, so just keep in mind of that. If it does breach it though at 1284, we could see it certainly close this gap at 1270 and just bounce off of the next support level. All right, but however, you got to really keep your eye on what's happening. Now, looking at the JAC this morning, we're bouncing and we're gapping up just mildly this morning. A real next resistance level is 51,875. That's our next real resistance level. Now let's take a look at a 4-hour chart just to give you a perspective of it. Now we had a nice rally from our support level. This was really a layup. We spoke about this. This was really a potential support level, and boom, bounced off of it quite sharply up to 51,327. However, it's got to keep this momentum for us to believe in it. All right, so 51,328. It has to continue higher, breaking 52,000. Like to see that happen actually this week. Okay, so let's keep an eye on that. If it does break it, you might want to jump into it on its rally. Now, this is really on the fact that the Dow Jones is gapping up this morning, and not just gapping up and going. Okay, 26,115-ish level right now. Now, our resistance level is 26,170. That's your next resistance level. So that's really an important level to break on the upside, and has to really break above it in order to sustain this rally. This is really a very important level, and that would really make a correctional move, since we had from last October, as we had that correctional move from 26,000-ish level, our all-time highs, 26,700-ish level, down to 21,000, and that will be, our full follow through, our full correction on the upside. So keep an eye on this, as this is resistance at 26,170. What's disconcerting is the fact that the stocks are not breaking out higher. The market's breaking out higher, but the stocks aren't, and especially some of the big stocks like Apple and Facebook. However, looking at Boeing, that really is coming up to the top of the range. So this may actually push itself higher if this does happen today. Okay, remember Boeing had a little bit of an incident, a big incident actually, a crisis a few weeks ago after the plane in Ethiopia went down, which was a Boeing plane, Boeing Max 737 it was, and the price of the stock actually tumbled. It looks like they're fixing the issues there, and this is really a major concern for Boeing because it is one of the largest, or is the largest manufacturer of commercial airplanes in the world. And so if that does correct itself, we could see it go back up to the 395-ish level. Okay, and it's really an important level to be. However, looking at Apple, it's gotten stronger, but I'd like to see it lead the way. Facebook as well. It's on the top of the range, but not breaking higher. Alcoa as well, where I would have expected it to be in the upper range, near the $30 range. It hasn't been there, but you got to see follow through. So maybe the markets will push the stocks higher, and that does happen. So sometimes when you have this relative strength where the market is stronger, the Dow Jones is stronger than the stocks, it plays catch up. Okay, so keep an eye on that, and it really is a very lucrative opportunity if you do catch that. Now, lastly, let's take a look at this Bitcoin. So this is a daily picture of Bitcoin, just to give you a perspective of it, how far we've corrected ourselves, even from July of 2018, right there, from 8,300 down to 3,100-ish level. We had that bottom right there. Okay, now we're trading at the top of the range, okay, right there at 4,086. I'd like to see it break above in order for it to really show its strength, okay? 4,853 could be its next target if we do make that correction on the upside and do break above it with some volume and follow through. So that's what I'd be looking for. If it does break out higher, I'd start building a position in it in the anticipation it's going to go even higher. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.